Hey everyone, welcome. Today we're diving into an explainer that's going to completely demystify one of the most notoriously intimidating exams in the entire world. We're going to break down exactly how to qualify the UPSC. If you've ever looked at that massive syllabus and thought, man, I was just an average student in school, there's absolutely no way I can do this, well listen up, because you are exactly who I'm talking to right now. Let's get right into the blueprint.
44.7%. Now, that's not a passing grade for some random practice test. Believe it or not, that was the actual 10th grade board exam score of IAS officer Avanish Sharan. Yeah, you heard that right. He scored just 314 out of 700 marks. Honestly, he even failed his state PCS exam 10 times. But guess what? He eventually secured an unbelievable all-India rank of 77 in the UPSC. This instantly shatters the biggest myth out there. You absolutely do not need to be a born genius to clear this exam.
So to get you to that level, we've taken the absolute chaos of UPSC prep and organized it into a clear, digestible master plan. We'll start by busting the topper myth, then look at why most aspirants fail, how to build your core foundation, a strategic execution timeline, mastering mains and CSAT, and finally how to literally create your own luck.
All right, let's jump straight into part 1. Busted, the topper myth.
You know, society constantly feeds us this narrative that only academic gold medalists clear this exam. But here is the reality check. Consistency beats IQ. Always. The UPSC is not a memory test. It's actually evaluating your conceptual clarity, your ability to apply knowledge, and your analytical thinking. So when you're sitting in that exam hall, daily discipline and a structured approach will win out over raw, unorganized intelligence every single time.
And hey, speaking of discipline, let's tackle another massive misconception. You've probably heard you need to study 18 hours a day, right? Honestly, scratch that. That is just a one-way ticket to severe burnout. The science actually shows that 8 to 10 hours of focused study gives you way better long-term retention. Using things like the Pomodoro technique, taking actual proper breaks, and actively revising, that's going to put you miles ahead of someone who's just passively staring at a textbook all day.
Moving on to part 2. Why most aspirants fail. Let's get real for a second and quickly run through the fatal traps. First up, fear and panic. This can fog your mind so completely that you just blank out on what you've studied. Then there's overconfidence, which usually trips up the academically brilliant folks who think they can skip key subjects. Then, a lack of revision. You simply forget that vast ocean of a syllabus. But pay close attention to this next one, reading too many sources. Hoarding 10 different books for one single subject is a massive, massive trap. What you actually need is limited sources and multiple revisions. And finally, poor time management. Look, if you can just avoid these specific traps, you've honestly won half the battle.
Okay, part 3, building the core foundation.
Everything starts in the mind. You really need what we call a growth mindset. This is simply the belief that your intelligence and your skills aren't fixed traits. They can be expanded through sincere effort. So instead of saying, oh, I'm just bad at economics, you tell yourself, I haven't mastered it yet. Adopting this mindset is a total game changer. It removes that paralyzing fear of tough subjects, turns your weaknesses into actual learning opportunities, and gives you the thick skin you need to bounce back when those mock test scores come back a little lower than you'd like.
So once your head is in the right place, you need a strict sequential workflow. Step 1, master the official UPSC syllabus. Do this first, and you'll save literally hundreds of hours of wasted time studying irrelevant things. Step 2, dive into the NCRTs from classes 6 to 12 and your standard books. You have to build those crystal clear basics. And Step 3, integrate your current affairs. Read a reliable daily newspaper and make a rock-solid habit of linking the news right back to your static topics.
Now let's get into the tactical stuff in part 4, the strategic execution timeline.
We call this the dual-track strategy. Now, if you start on June 15th, you get a 135-day Phase 1. That's a crucial head start. It lets you dedicate 3 hours daily for your optional subject and 3 hours for general studies. But if you delay and start on July 1st, that Phase 1 shrinks down to 120 days. And let me tell you, that leaves absolutely zero room for error. If you start late, you have to skip the fluff immediately, bump your optional study to 4 hours, and combine massive subjects like geography and environment. Bottom line, start early if you can, but if you're starting late, you've got to double your intensity.
That initial phase really dictates the rest of your year. Look at it this way. From June or July right through to October, you're doing the heavy lifting, core static, GS, and your optional subject. But as soon as November 1st hits, your optional gets put away. From November to January, it is all about mains consolidation, ethics, essays, and intense answer writing. Finally, from February to May, the gates close. You enter a brutal 110-day prelims lockdown. Nothing but micro-revision and mock tests. No distractions.
Let's zoom in on those high-stakes papers in Part 5, Mastering Mains and CSAT.
During that November to January consolidation phase we just talked about, listen, if you aren't practicing daily answer writing, clearing mains is going to be incredibly tough. You really need to be writing 2 to 3 answers every single day under strict time limits. Focus on crafting clear introductions, keeping your arguments balanced, and hitting them with strong conclusions. Also, this is the exact time to consolidate all your current affairs notes from the past 6 months into crisp, data-driven points that you can just inject straight into those answers.
Now, I need to flash a massive warning sign here. CSAT is where geniuses fail. Do not, I repeat, do not push it aside during your 110-day prelims lockdown. It's just a brutal reality that overconfidence in the Civil Services Aptitude Test ends the journey for so many brilliant candidates, especially the ones who kind of assume they don't need to brush up on math or logic. Daily CSAT practice starting in February is absolutely vital.
Which brings us to our final section, Part 6, Creating Your Own Luck.
You know, people out there love to say that clearing the UPSC is just a lottery, right? Like it all just depends on luck. Well, actually, consistent preparation reduces uncertainty. Luck favors the prepared candidate, and calm minds make better decisions. What casual observers call random luck in the UPSC is really just that beautiful moment when relentless, disciplined preparation finally meets opportunity. You are literally building your own luck every single time you sit down at that desk to study. I want to leave you with this incredibly powerful quote from our sources. Success is not reserved for geniuses. It's earned by consistent aspirants. That right there is the ultimate anchor for everything we've talked about today. The UPSC is a marathon of endurance, guys. It's not a sprint of intellect. Your past grades simply do not define your future capabilities.
So the clock is ticking. Are you ready to turn your average into an achiever? You've got the roadmap. You know exactly what pitfalls to avoid, and you understand the growth mindset that's required. Stop waiting around for the perfect moment or wishing for a perfect academic record. Choose your start date, pick up your pen, and let's get to work.